So you'll recall the other day I changed the expansion tank from our hot water cylinder. The old one had failed. I've got the old one in the lab here now, and I'm going to do a bit of a dissection of it to see exactly what went wrong with it. Just before I start, I thought I'm obviously somewhat new to this YouTubing, and I thought I'd just show you the setup I've put together for filming this particular part. So I'm using a Panasonic HC X920. It was an old camera, probably 10 years old now, and that's what I'm using right now with this own microphone. And then we've got what I've done is I've bought this kind of articulated arm that will allow me to attach the camera to that so it can point down. So everything you'll see in this next video will be taken hopefully with a steady camera, and also therefore in focus and that sort of thing, pointing down at what I'm doing. Because of course when the camera's up on there, I can't control it that easily. So there's an iPad which has got an app which is made by Panasonic or someone, which allows me to control start and stop and the obviously the focus. Now I think this is completely full of water. So if you listen to it, you can hear water slopping around. Water isn't coming out of the bottom of it when you tip it, so therefore the water must be on the wrong side of the bladder, and it must weigh absolutely, I don't know, I can't even lift it up with one hand, so it must be 13, 14 kilograms or so of water. So 13, well, the weight of the unit is probably a couple of kilograms, so maybe 11 litres of water has ended up somewhere in there. That's probably a really good reason to keep the bench clear, because when I do open it, I'll end up with tons of water all over the place. So I've got a bucket down at the bottom, so I may pause at various points if there's an impending flood. Now the thing I'm going to talk about, I'll talk about it when I've got the camera mounted as well, but just to say that whilst we dissect it, we're going to take this plate off. Now, as a cautionary measure, if in this normal operation this cylinder would be pressurised, and it's pressurised through the Schroeder valve, which is at the end there. It's just a standard bicycle valve, and normally it's pressurised at 3 bar, which is, it's equivalent of being underwater by 30 meters, so it's quite a lot of pressure there. And if you damage the cylinder, unbolt it, that will be released. So when we come to take this plate off, which I'll explain what that is doing in a moment, it's absolutely essential that you depressurize the cylinder. It's your own responsibility to do this. I'm not advising how you should do it or whether you should do it. It's up to you. But what I want to say is, the way I depressurize this is I push this little pin in here, which I'll just grab a punch to do that. And of course, do make sure that you've got nothing in the way that will end up getting sprayed with water, because obviously it would have. I've depressurized this already, but just to show, so you can see water's dribbling out there. And that's clearly not supposed to be the case, and it's pretty rusty. So that water will stain whatever it sprays onto, whether that be your clothes, the floor, your dining table, your iPad. So do take care. But anyway, it's depressurized. So when I take that plate off in the next part of the video, you will see that there shouldn't be any problem with that. But there will be a ton of water that's come out. Right. So I've now mounted the camera well out of the way of any water pointing down, and I've got iPad control, which I'll also put the iPad out of the way just in case this thing's full of water, which I suspect it will be. I mean, it absolutely is full of water, but how it will spill, I don't know. So this is, as I said, the expansion cylinder. It's failed. I suspect the balloon inside or the bladder's failed. It's got a hole in it. There seems to be water on the wrong side of it. So basically, I'm going to dissect it and see what is going on here. So I've mentioned in the first part of the video that you want to depressurize it, make sure there's no air in it, because otherwise when you undo these bolts, this plate will fly off and hit in the stomach or spray water all over you. It will be ungood. Actually, I mean, it probably won't fly off, because what will happen is you'll take 5 of the bolts out, and then the other one will it'll push the air past the seal. Anyway, the reason that you I mentioned before, this model of cylinder appears to come with definitely 2, but possibly 4 variants. And what appears to be the case is that the thread here, which attaches to the compression fitting to your pipe for your expansion circuit, there seems to be different variants of it. And one of the cylinders I bought was the wrong type. There's a 3/4 inch for sure, there's a 22mm for sure, and there's some others too, and I ordered the wrong one. Which meant that, of course, when I tried to fit the cylinder, this is like a couple of years ago, the threads didn't work. So what's good about it is this part of the cylinder is really well made, and it's stainless steel, and the one on the old cylinder that had failed was okay. So you can actually undo these bolts and take it off, and I'll show you that in a minute, and then swap them over. So if you've ordered the wrong one and you need to finish the job, you can absolutely take this plate off. So so I said I'm going to take this plate off with a ring spanner. You could of course use a socket. The size of it is it's a 13mm. I don't know if you can see that. So I just need to loosen all of these off. This particular ratchet, you obviously change the direction of turning it by flipping it over. So if you want to tighten, it's that way up, and that's right to turn. Wants to go this way up, so I want to loosen it. So if we just do those, so as you can see, they're undoing rather well. So I'm going to undo all of these. I might speed this part of the video up because it's going to be me undoing nuts and bolts, but we'll see. And I've got it deliberately this way up because I suspect it's full of water. I don't want to have it on its side pouring rusty water all over me. So I'm just going to undo these. So I'm going to stop talking for a bit and undo the rest of them. So we're now coming to the last bolt. I don't know if I used the word nut before. These are bolts. I think they're stainless steel. I mean, there's certainly absolutely no sign of. There's no sign of corrosion on them at all, which is great. So obviously it's a good part. I mean, of course they would be dry most of the time. So this plate then comes off, you see, and you'll get one of those with the, of course, the new cylinder has that too. And then this is the magical plate that's got the thread on it. So you can literally take that off very, very easily. So you can see a little bit of corrosion there, but not a lot. Normally there would be water on this side of it in this bag, or its bladder, so we can see that it's clearly is some sort of stainless steel. I don't know why it's corroded there, but it's surface. So you can absolutely, if that's in good nick, reuse that. And as I said, that's the part that's got the thread on it. So we'll just put that down to one side there. And this is the magical bladder that's failed. So normally there should be water just on this side of it, on the inside here. And if I put my hand in, there is none at all. And you can see how grubby that is. So I've got a nice bit of old t-shirt as a cloth. So what's happened is the water, this bladder's got a hole in it clearly, and the water's been pushed onto the other side of it where it should not be, and it's probably rusted because it's probably some sort of mild steel, not as opposed to stainless, and therefore it'll be absolutely orange and very stainy and all that sort of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably put these bits out of the way. I don't really particularly want to keep these ones because the I've got a spare set from the other one which I changed a few years back. I don't think it's going to be useful. If you are likely to do this job again, or you've got different cylinders or a couple, maybe hang on to it. I will keep the bolts. Bolts are always good to have. I've got a box of random bolts. You never know when you need them. They seem to be fine. The threads on them are great. So no need to waste stuff. So this is going to go into the recycling. This is going to go into the recycling, and I hang on to those for another job. So the moment of truth. Let's take the bag out. I'm just going to put that spanner out of the way so it doesn't get covered in rusty water. Spanners are, if they're decent spanners and ratchets and everything, they shouldn't corrode. The parts inside should be stainless or treated, but it's best not to get them wet. And if you do get your tools wet, if you're working on a car in the rain or something like that, just make sure you dry them off, spray them with some WD-40, because if you put them away wet, especially in a cold garage, the parts inside will corrode and rust, and then you'll end up not being able to use it again, and that's wasteful. So look after the tools that you've got. So we're going to take this bag out. I think I might have get a bucket of water, bucket ready to go to put this in. I'm just going to move this to one side so that you can see. So this is actually the only part that's failed, this rubber bag. So if you could buy these as a spare part, that would be save an awful lot of wasted metal, that sort of thing. But you don't think you can. And just to say, so the seal, what holds the air in, if you like, so normally that bag's in there, and there would be air on this side of it, so inside there, and what makes the seal, stops the air leaking out, is the pressure of that plate pushing down on this rubber seal. So, if it were losing pressure, that would certainly be a place that it could be. I don't think that's very likely because there's a lot of clamping force down there. Obviously, if your cylinder's losing pressure, air pressure, you're having to recharge it all the time. Most likely, it's the Schroeder valve that's failed. I haven't ever changed one of those. I believe that there's parts of it you can take out and replace. I'm not going to cover that right now. you know, if someone wants to leave in the comments their experience of replacing Schroeder valves, please do so. So we're going to take this out now. It is horribly rusty, nasty water on that side of it. So I'm just going to see if I can pull this out without spraying it everywhere. Yep, so that's the bag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bag, I think I'm going to put the bag just down here. It is very grubby. We'll look at that in a minute. We're now going to pour the water out of the tank. There should not be water. Now I don't know if you can see, but there's water, you know, there. So there's water down, you know, it's probably over 2/3 full, and it absolutely shouldn't be. So we're going to pour that out, and you can see how that looks like. You absolutely wouldn't have wanted this to drain back into your water tank. So we've got there almost a completely full bucket of water. I don't know how many litres that is. That's on the side of the bucket. I mean, it's got to be at least 10 litres, so that's 10 kilograms of grubby water that potentially could leak back into your heating circuit, because there's a hole in the bag somewhere. We'll look for that in a minute. And then, you know, that's going to obviously, it's rusty water, it's iron oxide. It probably won't kill you, but you probably wouldn't want it in your hot water cylinder, because it will be hard to flush that out. So it definitely was an opportune time to change it. Luckily, it didn't appear to be making it back past the back through the bladder into the hot water circuit, but you could imagine that it would if you were to unpressurize your cylinder as you're working on it, but then pressurize the expansion tank. There'll of course be pressure to force the water back through the bladder, through the hole in the bladder. So that's really not a good thing. So I don't know how many cylinders are in this state around the country. I think the word ticking time bomb would be overzealous in explaining the problem, but it's probably worth just, you know, if you've got an expansion tank, giving it a tap on the side, seeing what's happening, and if you are confident enough to have a go at dissecting it or having a look at it, go for it. If you're not, then obviously call a plumber and see if they'll help you. Or even if you've got boiler cover from British Gas or somewhere like that, you might give them a call, and they might be included within your annual fee. So I'm not sure. These expansion tanks cost about 50 quid, assuming there are not too many gotchas in terms of, you know, fixing it to the wall and replacing it and this sort of thing, you know, physically bolting it. It's probably an hour or two's worth of labour. So it's not, you know, not a big deal, but it's absolutely essential that these are in good shape. The reason it's so important is that you know, we can do a bit of analysis on a calculator later, but if your expansion tank is full of water, so therefore there's nowhere for the air to expand, so there's nowhere for more water to expand to, so there's no air in it. If you've got like a 200 litre hot water cylinder that's stone cold, and then you start heating it up from say 20 degrees to 60 degrees, which would be typical kind of range, that water's going to expand with great force, so it has to go somewhere. Now, there is a pressure release valve, or at least there should be, on every hot water cylinder, so that should leak through the tondish. If that were to fail, you will start popping pipes, you will start ripping seams, you will start underfloor heating circuits leaking. You absolutely do not want that to happen. So this is not the sort of part that you fit and forget. You need to service this. You need to make sure it's at the right pressure, it's not got water in it, and if it does, you absolutely want to get that sorted out. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause the video. I think I'm going to pour the water away out of this bucket, and I'm going to probably clean that up under the tap so we can find the hole in it more easily. Right, so I've cleaned the bag up, and basically you can see how grubby the water was. I even washed my hands, but it's the sort of iron oxide seems to go under the skin. I'll clean that up later. And I was looking for the hole, and I thought it would be kind of on a seam or something like that. It's actually here. So I don't know if you can see that. I'll try and zoom in and see if that works using the first time I've used this remote, so we'll see how this goes. This is using the iPad as the controller. Hopefully it'll focus. We will see. There we go, it's not too bad. So that is where it has failed. So if you push your finger in from the bottom, you can see there's a tiny, tiny hole. And of course, with 5 bars of pressure, that's enough to bubble the water through. I was really expecting it to be on one of these seams. You know, there's various seams at the bottom, there's one there. But no, it was there. So I was just trying to figure out what has caused that to rupture like that. So I was sort of feeling around inside the cylinder. So this is the cylinder it came out of. I'm going to zoom out a bit so you can see. Well, I was kind of expecting there to be a bit of sharp metal on the inside, and I don't know if there was. By the way, I got this fantastic torch for Christmas. It's a head torch, but it's also, I'm going to zoom right out so you can see it actually properly. This was actually one of the best Christmas presents I got. Well, no, so that sounds disingenuous. I got lovely Christmas presents, but this is one of the things that's got the most use. It's fantastic. It's a head torch. It's got a light on the front. It's got a light on the side. So if you can do various different modes, and I'm going to use the light on the side. So we can look inside and see what we can see. It's rusty for sure. I mean, obviously that's because of the water's leaking onto the wrong side, so it's not stainless steel. I looked around inside. I was kind of expecting to see some bit of metal somewhere, or somewhere on, I don't know if you can see inside that, but you can see the various seams. I thought, you know, there'd be a sharp bit on the seam. I can't honestly find anything that is anything that's wrong with that. But clearly something's punctured the bag. So whether there was a bit of grit, the manufacturer, or a bit of swarf, maybe when something was made, it had a bit of metal on the outside. That's when it's been pushed against the, it's been pressurized and pushed against the side of the tank cylinder. It's punctured. I really don't know. So anyway, that is what the problem is. So it's got a leak. It has failed. We've changed it. Jobs are good. Would I use this again? Would I reuse that if I could get a new rubber bag? I don't think so. I mean, rubber bag like that, if it costs you sort of 15 quid or something, I don't know what they charge for it, and you can get the whole thing for 50, and it is all rusty inside, and who knows what might go wrong with it, with the valve in the future. So I think what we're going to do is just pop this into the recycling. I think the make company called Zilmet who make it, I think, it seems to be well constructed, I have to say. Have had some failures of them, but maybe the lifetime of these things is sort of 5 or 6 years, and that's what you expect. If there's any plumbers who look at this channel and say, that's what you expect, they expect them to last that long, that would be good to know. If you think they should last 20 years, then maybe there is something going on there. But I think I'm not discontent with them as a brand. It seems to be well made. We're talking a bit about the Schroeder valve. I'm not going to tip it the other way up now, because I really don't want to get rusty water everywhere. But the Schroeder valve is there, and I think you could probably take it out, but I'm not going to do that right now. So that sort of concludes the end of the dissection of a expansion cylinder. This was, as I said, a 19-litre expansion cylinder. It had at least 12 litres of water in it, maybe more, which means that, of course, if you're hanging this on the wall with some plasterboard screws, supposed to be not full of water, therefore your fixings should have normally you're holding something like a few kilograms. If it's got 15 kilograms, is that then going to fall off the wall, bend the pipes? So I said, I would definitely recommend that when you attach these, you attach them well, so it can bear the full weight, assuming that you've got 19 litres of water in it, if it happens. Right, so that's the end of that. I'm just going to clean up a bit, dispose of these in the right way. I might take a bit of a video of other projects that I'm going to work on over the next few days. I'm going to try and, with work and stuff, I obviously can only make videos in the evenings and this sort of thing, and only when jobs occur that I want to fix, or that I can fix, or I'm going to choose to fix. So, but I might just show you some of the things that are in my queue of items to repair around the house. Right, so the jobs to finish off. So, well, these are the brackets, some of the brackets I don't think I'll be needing to use for the sliding door project of our boiler room. So those were parts that came in the pack. That's a video for another day. Another thing I want to do is I've got a BMW 1 Series. It's soft top. I occasionally, once every year or so, every 2 years actually, I treat the hot tub, not the hot tub, The soft top with FabSil, which is a waterproofer, silicone-based waterproofer. I've ordered up. I've normally used the version that just comes with, that you brush on. Comes in a tin. This is the aerosol. It was a good deal from Amazon, so I bought this instead. Give it a go. I think it's a bit cold to be doing this anyway. Obviously, you want to spray it on, and then you want the solvent to evaporate quickly. And at the moment outside it's like 8 degrees, and I want to wash the soft top first anyway. So I'm not going to do that until warmer months, maybe March or so. This was a pan where the handle has come off. Basically, what's happened is the rivets have pulled through. I don't think it was abused in any way, but the rivets have obviously given up the ghost. So not safe to use, because obviously if you're using pans, they're going to be typically full of hot water or maybe even oil. So you really don't want that to come off again. So I'm going to use that as a pan for candle making and this sort of thing, where what I'll do is I'll drill out those rivets and probably just put some bolts through. So probably not your best culinary device any longer, but now it's a very handy workshop addition to my collection of pans for draining oil into, melting things in. The other job I want to do is, this is a stove fan. So if you've got a wood burning stove, you might recognize one of these. It goes on top of the stove, and it uses something called the Peltier effect. It's got a part in it, I'll show you in the video, that generates a bit of electricity, spins the fans and blows the wall, circulates air around the room and blows it past the chimney of the wood burning stove. It's failed. The Peltier pile has failed. It happens. I'll explain that later in another video. It's probably going to be a sort of 10-minute video, so we'll change that, order the parts, they're on their way, and that's great. So hope you've enjoyed the video, and hope you've enjoyed the intro to the next videos of things I'm going to do. And each time I'll try and explain it in the best way that I can, show you a bit more of the kit we've got, but that's it. So have a great day, and don't forget, if you want to try some DIY, the worst thing that can happen is that you end up breaking it. So you might give things a go, give it a chance, and weigh up the pros and cons. It's always good to try things out, learn. Just always stay safe, take precautions, make sure if the worst happens, you've got a backup plan, so you can turn the water off. You don't need the part, you don't need the car for a while, whatever it might be. Just make sure you've got a plan. Anyway, have a great day, and see you again soon.